Hi, David Odell here with Odell Complete Concrete. This is our first day on the job site, and this is kind of a before look. All this concrete is going to be coming out, these railroad ties. We're going to be widening that entry through the gate, knocking those couple of block wall returns out. These raised planters will be out of there. All the brick gone. Concrete's going to be gone. Those radius staircase thing, that retaining wall, we're going to extend out and move the stairs all the way to the property line wall. This upper area is just going to have a perimeter 2 foot around the outside edge of some artificial turf. So that'll be the play area probably for the kids. And then you go down this new stairs that we're going to build here. And then you have the big wall-to-wall concrete patio. No more planter area, in other words. This is a little drone footage. We just picked up that unit. It gives a different perspective on the whole project. That AC we're going to move to temporarily. Then we'll put the concrete in and then reconnect the AC unit later. There's those block wall returns on that gate. Those are going to get knocked out. We're going to open that up a little bit through there. So far what we've done here is I used my little Vermeer CTX 100 with the breaker, and I went through, crushed it all up with the breaker. I even climbed the staircases with that little unit. We didn't have the footage, but it made it all the way around here and up the staircase. So I was able to pulverize it all the way out. Now I switch buckets, and then I'm just going to start from the beginning and work my way to the back. Just going to drive in, try to scoop. This little corner was kind of tricky. I built it up because I'm driving over a little retaining wall coming around that corner, so I just built it up with dirt so I could get in and out of there without damaging that bullnose brick retainer wall that I was driving over. Here's the retaining wall. I dug it out, with the tractor because I was able just to drive straight in and scoop it out. And I wanted to get down to the bottom of the footing, so I found the bottom of the existing footing. And then I went a little bit deeper so I could key underneath it. And then I'm using the 3/4 dowels. That's a 3/4 bit. And then I'm going to put 5/8 rebar dowels. And I'm going to epoxy them in there. This little vacuum, everything you're seeing right now is the DeWalt cordless system, dust extraction system. Cordless drill, roto hammer. And then we've got the cordless vacuum with an attachment just to get that dust out of there. That way we get a good bond when we put the epoxy in there. We're going to be using the Simpson XP. It's a 2-part epoxy. So I started with a half block here. That way I didn't have to go down as deep and still get a good thick footing. Now right here what we're doing is just kind of making it straight with the existing retaining. And we're only extending it about 5 feet, I would say. This is coming over about 5 feet, and it's going to leave us about a 4-foot set of steps along the property line wall. So everything's getting shifted over. And this retaining is going to come up about 6-8 inches above top of concrete at the top height of the elevated patio area. A new torpedo level there that I happened to lose inside the retaining wall. So it was a disposable. Not that expensive. I think I paid like $2.50 for it. That's $2.50. When I dropped it in the top of the retaining wall, I just left it there, grouted it in, kind of like a time capsule. This is the end of the block right here, and then we're going to be staircase from there on over. But what we did on that retaining wall is we waterproofed the backside, and I just used some Henry's tar. You can see it from here. You can see how far we came up with that. We just put 2 coats on there, pretty thick, and then we started backfilling. And we waited, Saturday, Sunday, the retaining wall cured out, and now we're backfilling on Monday. So that center area where you see the pile of road base, we ended up wheeling that over the top of that retaining wall with my aluminum moving ramp. It's about a 12-foot ramp. We were able to wheel right over the top of that wall. Around the perimeter here is going to be concrete. That center area is going to be artificial turf. The road base is just going to be something for the artificial turf to set on. So here's the wall. I've brown coated it already, and I've already completely solid grouted it. What we have is 2 horizontals, one near the bottom, one at the top, through open bond beams, and then we have a vertical bar every other block, and it's all 1/2 inch vertical and horizontal. And then my footing bars were 5/8. I had 2 at the bottom doweled in. Now we're moving along here to the staircase setup. This backyard's not a perfect rectangle because at one end of the house to property line, it's smaller than the other end by about 4 feet. So everything's askewed here. I didn't have my tap cons today, so I had to go old school style. And I ended up putting a 2x4 on the block wall that I built. And I drilled in with a 3/8 bit, and then I just put 3/8 rebar dowels. Otherwise, I would have used tap cons. But I didn't have that tool today. So on the outside edge of this staircase, we're going to leave it full depth all the way to the bottom, 4 inches below the lower top of concrete at lower level. And rebar is going to be coming all the way down, tying that upper and lower area together. Good. Hello.
Yeah, it's working.
Alright, so we've got all the steps set. And what we did before we even started setting the steps is determine the top elevation, the lower elevation, top of slab. That way we knew how many steps or risers we actually had to put in. So that way when we got to the bottom, we'd have equal steps all the way down. Now up here on the upper deck, we had an existing drain that exited down the hill, so we had really good drainage. Because what I like to do when I'm using existing drains before I start hooking up drains to them is run a water hose in them and make sure they actually work. Otherwise, there's no point in hooking up to them. So this one worked really well. So we went ahead and extended another drain into this artificial turf. And all those forms that you see, they all slope towards that one corner where that new drain's going to be. And that drain will be underneath, just underneath the artificial turf. So the water will go through the artificial turf. It'll accumulate and run right to that drain spot. Now on that slopestone block wall, the property line wall, there's a footing which is pretty high. As you can see, we just right on top of it. We got about 2.5, 3 inches concrete over that footing. That's the best we could do with that. So that kind of determines your elevations right there. Unless you put a curb along the wall. But, when a yard this small, it takes up space to do all that. Now we just ran the plate compactor, laying out some rebar. We're doing a number 3 rebar, which is 3/8 at 2 foot centers in both directions. We have expansion foam all the way around the perimeter of the block wall. The rebar is going to continue right down through the staircase. Now we're just checking the laser level, and it was pretty crucial at that lower level because we have 80 feet we have to get all the way around the house and to the front, and we only had 5 inches of slope with no drains. Back here, we're just leveling it out. Much easier to walk around when you're getting ready to pour concrete than having a big hump of dirt in the middle. So we level it out. Makes it easier to finish the first pour. Also, it lets me know that we're going to need more material in there. Because right now it's about 1.5 inches low below the top of form, and we want the artificial turf to flush out at the top. So we need a couple inches more in there after compaction. Now that block wall's been brown coated, now we're just going to put the stucco finish on there, and we're going to match the house, which is kind of a Spanish style stucco. Really rough, porous, holds a lot of dirt type finish. And the way I did it is I go over the whole area initially with a fine coat of the stucco, then I just start splattering it on there in any way I can. I can grab a handful of it, throw it on there, put it on the end of the trowel, sling it on there, and then let that dry a little bit, then sponge float it again, and it gives you those, it'll end up matching the house. That's how that finish was done.
Huh? I think you said it's dead.
Can't be. It was charged this morning. Oh, for that? There's an extra battery in the truck.
Oh.
I thought he was talking. And we continued the expansion foam all the way around the perimeter of the block wall. The nice thing about the foam and the drainage on this situation here is that everything drains towards the property line wall and out. And then when I glue the foam in there right to the chalk line, it's a lot easier to rod off of and follow that foam. So you get it. Because a lot of times when you have a chalk line, it can get buried and you won't see it. So you lose your elevation during a pour and you got puddling. But when you have the foam, you can see it pretty well the whole time. Make adjustments as needed. Then you got good drainage. And if you do have puddles on the foam, it'll absorb down into the dirt. So that's another backup plan. So here's the two, you've got 3 steel pipes there, 3-inch square. We got the fixed portion of the fence, and then we have the gate opening against the property line wall. And if you remember in the beginning, the AC sets against the house. So and the gate was centered. So when you came through the gate before, you run into the air conditioner. Now when you come through the gate, you'll just have a clear shot to the backyard. I had to leave that planter against the property line wall there because the sidewalk from the driveway actually slopes backwards to this point, about 3 inches. But that's the only way we get drainage out of the backyard without installing drains to the street. So this planter bed will actually have to stay low at the far end, so the water will drain through the planter bed and to the street. Or a drain can always be added later there as well. Here's a little drone footage. Nice perspective on it. Anyway, make sure you stay tuned for part 2, 3, and 4 because this is a 4-part series. This is part 1. Our next pour will be the upper deck, and then the second pour will be the lower area. The fourth and final will be the artificial turf install. Have a good one.